If you haven't heard about Anchor, it is the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. Lawful Stupid just jumped over. First of all, it's free, and we love that. Secondly, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer, wherever you're at, all on the go. Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you. There are a lot of other vendors out there, a lot of platforms that they will make sure your podcast gets to. So it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. And you can make money from your podcast with zero minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Last time on Wait a Second, it's a whole different thing. I'm joined today only by the sweetest of boys, Dwayne, the turtlest of doves, Peden. Say hello, Dwayne.
It feels good to be just one person, the primary object of your affection.
Yeah, it's all about you tonight, baby. It's all of my love and affection and mischief are just channeled directly onto you.
Well, I was good until you said that second thing. That kind of
affection.
Okay. No, that was former. It's the latter that was scary. You said something about mischief.
I don't know about that. So we're going to learn today a little bit about Garrett. We're going to have our Garrett one-on-one shot. So we are just going to delve into the life of Garrett. Are you ready?
I am more than excited about it.
Delicious. So Garrett is one of our landlocked boys. He has spent his whole life in Tangia.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes from a small village in Tangia, where he grew up with his parents. And we didn't talk. You have brothers, sisters?
No, only child.
Only child. Just like now, center focus of attention and affection.
Mm-hmm.
And when you came of age, you did what all great intrepid heroes did, and you moved away from the nest, and you found yourself in the smaller city of Hylas.
That's true.
And in Hylas, you worked as a Tom Cruise and cocktail situation. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Very much like bartender-esque. Had an older guy with me who was a bartender, and we would just meet chicks, and then we went to the beach. And but yeah, he does. He becomes a bartender, and uses that as like an easy way, especially as a younger man, to like make money in a short amount of time.
And you were famous, Garrett. I'm talking directly to Garrett now. I'm not Dwayne. Dwayne can leave.
Okay.
All right. I'm talking directly to Garrett now. This is like an interview now. So you came up with a few. You were like a mixologist. You came up with some specialty cocktails that really drove customers. What were some of those again?
Yeah, absolutely. So everybody's always going to the bar for the fireball shot. Not him though. He put a twist on it. He made the frozen fireball, which is basically the same type of mix, but like he uses a little bit of his magical prowess to like chill that stuff out, and make it like an icy version, and changing that cinnamony taste to like a cool mint when they take that shot. So that was big. Go ahead.
If I may, just a little nerd lore. They created Cone of Cold to counteract Fireball, because Fireball was such a popular spell. Gary Gygax's son actually created it. It's not important. But if this is the wintry blast, I think it should be the Cone of Cold, and I think that you should have to take it from a funnel. The Cone of Cold.
Yeah, bring it on. I like it. The Cone of Cold. And you literally are just making drinks after spell names. So let's do that then. Cone of Cold. Okay. He would 100%.
Other spells.
No. 100%. He would have a drink called Friends, which is just like 4 ridiculously strong liquors mixed together, right?
You're gonna be friends after this.
Yep, you better be. And then, of course, he would have a Charm Person, which is essentially, you ever had an alcoholic drink that's like you drink it and then like, you didn't realize it was 200 proof? You know what I mean? Like it's like at that like sleeper cell, deceptively strength.
Somebody makes it for you at a house party in a container of Hawaiian Punch, and you just
next you have one. The next thing you know, you're just the world's spinning. It like that type of heat to it. I
think there's synaptic static because it just makes your brain all fuzzy.
Yeah, and then Total Dead, similar thing. Okay. Just ridiculous. This one will I think that one's different though because I think it's a strong alcoholic drink, but it's full of like stimulants, and it's like, oh, no, I don't even wake the dead if you drink this bitch.
No, that's Spare the Dying. Spare the Dying is the
Spare the Dying. It's got to be something to put you in a coma.
Right? No, Spare the Dying wakes you up. So like you're like it's for when you're dead drunk, and it's just like guarana root extract. It's just like I'm back, round 2.
It's like the smelling salts of drinks.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And because of your prowess with concocting these beverages, you actually garnered the attention of a local brewery for like they needed folks on their team to create new and interesting taste profiles.
Yeah.
And it was through this work that eventually you found yourself in the big city, or as they call it, the Big Tangerine.
Okay. Just going to write that down.
Proper. Yeah, do it.
Tangerine. I am, and I'm going to bring it up in the show.
It's fucking bacon bits. That's for later. That's for the future spoiler. So you find yourself in the Big Tangerine, getting some artisan goods to bring back, and that's when you see her.
Yeah, man, it's nothing like it.
Your whole life changes, and time stops. You see, she looks young to you, a drow, a stark elf. Her eyes colored like ocean silver, her skin dark blue in the sunlight, but in the darkness takes on an obsidian hue. Her hair is shoulder length bob, pulled back in the braids with a metallic hairpin, with onyx gems mounted on it. She has these thin, glowing, almost sheer skirts that pass her knees, and these kind of cute frilly tops with no sleeves. And as she passes by, your breath leaves you.
Yeah, literally stunned.
For one round and all attacks.
For 6 seconds. For one action round, I am stunned.
And then 6 seconds later, when you recover, you see her just walking the streets.
Yeah, and I just like, Garrett just has to approach her. Like, he's got like the arrogance of youth, not in like a brash way. It's just like, this can't go bad, and if it does, like, okay, I would never, like, what if I would have talked to her, right? So he just has to approach her.
No regrets.
Yeah.
And you say?
And so Garrett, who, like, at the time would, like, have, like, bags on him, like travel bags from where he's, like, been picking up these supplies. And I think, so, no regrets, arrogance and confidence galore. In no way skillful with like women. Like, he's charismatic. He's a good negotiator in general. He's just not great with like women in a romantic manner. And
it's
so
like Forrest Gump. Like, hey, have you ever been with a woman, Forrest? I sit next to him in class all the time.
Yep, they always ask me to be friends. So I think he would literally just like catch up to her and like, you know how like you can walk side by side and not be super weird in a public place. And I think he would. Okay, well, normal people can do that, I think.
Okay.
And I think he just turns to her and I gotta get his voice back. I guess it would be a little bit lighter, and he would say,
he has that the years haven't weighed on him yet.
The years haven't weighed on him. He would say, hello. It's a little youthful, but we'll take it.
Yeah, well, he's youthful. She looks to him and kind of raises an eyebrow, brushing a strand of loose hair from her forehead behind her ear. Hello.
I've never seen anything so beautiful in my entire life, and it's not a line at all. I promise. I just thought I should say something.
Well, now you have. And she kind of gives you like a small smile.
My name's Garrett.
Shalindra.
Do you want to get a drink or like a meal together, like both of us?
Well, I haven't eaten yet. Why not?
Really? I mean, awesome. And so then we fast forward.
and so you enjoy a lovely meal together, and it's dizzying. It is you spent your whole life working with spirits and drinks, and you've never felt as joyfully, blissfully drunk as you were when you heard the sound of her voice and her laugh. And you are just fascinated by her, and she is amused, I think is the best way to put it. And it's you through the process of conversation, you find out that she's quite a deal older than you. She's over 100, and it's almost like when she's with you, she can see things like you do, and things are new and they're bright and they're shining, and she falls in love with you.
And Garrett obviously is smitten with her.
And of course, this business trip was scheduled to take 3 days. So about the second week that you spent in Tangia with her, you ask her to come home with you. And she agrees.
And like Garrett that's like that to up to that point is the happiest day of his life. To like that she would agree to like come with him and spend more time with him.
And I think that your living situation at this point is like you still rent the room.
Oh, yeah, 100%. He like rents a room above the tavern in town. Like, there's a brewery.
You've got like
there's a main tavern, and that's
got, like,
what he sleeps
on the door.
Well, no, I don't know that it'll be that, but it would be like it was like you go into his room that he's rented for a while, and it's like a bed. They're like, no, you could get some like more furniture. It's like, no, that's okay. I've got a bed.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've got the thing I need. I've got a bed, and then he hangs his clothes up in like the one small closet they give him.
And it's not long. Months, days turn to weeks, weeks turn into months, months turn into years, as they often do, until you get married. You get married, and well, it's a good thing you got that bed. You're gonna need it.
Concerning.
For fucking, Dwayne. For sex.
Oh, that's better. I appreciate the classification.
I thought everything else was a mimic. I thought I needed a long rest because all the damage I took.
Well, I was just you never know. You never know what's going to happen in Shane's campaign.
Yep. You have sex. Roll con save. So as we all know, as adults, because we're all adults listening, because there's a mature label on this. It's an explicit tag. So we're all adults. We know that sometimes when a man layeth with an elf, drow specifically, some unplanned circumstances can happen. Namely, children.
Most excitedly, children.
What'd I say?
You said just like unplanned things can happen. I just said most excitedly, right? Because there aren't other good unplanned things that happen.
That's true.
Usually it's like, Doctor, I got a rash.
I can't tell you the story here on the podcast, but some surprises have occurred. So you find that Shalindra's with child.
But like for Garrett, that's like the best thing he could have heard. But also like very worrying because he already knows that Shalindra's like family doesn't like him or approve of him. And so like when she tells him, he's like over the moon excited. And then like it's that night that like he's like doesn't sleep well, worrying about like how her family is going to respond to the news.
Yeah, you remember when you guys got married, it was like a small ceremony with the local priest. Your family came up from your village, but hers was not in attendance. Yeah. And it's not long after you find out that she's with child that she also, through correspondence, finds that she's been disowned.
Yeah, after like letting her family know of like the exciting news, right? Because like she like sees the best in people, and so like despite her family disowning, she would still be like, oh no, guess what? Like this amazing news, and then like for that to be the response, it's like a very formal letter of disownment.
Yeah, like very much like she comes from a certain pedigree, and it is very much like you are no longer. Please do not let anybody know that you are.
Yeah, please don't use your maiden name anymore. Like,
yeah,
ever.
Please don't do that. Yeah, and so it is a interesting time because Garrett, as a younger man, trying to make ends meet. Shalandra, she ends up. She has like she sells flowers and other herbs that she gathers from the surrounding woodland and a stall. So she's working as long as she can, and I think that for everything that you worry about, kind of her age and temperament, she's able to calm you and like kind of bring you back until your child is born. You have a daughter.
There's no words to describe what it's like to see what it's like for Garrett to see his daughter come into this world. It's a mix of excitement and joy, and it's this unconditional love and binding just to another like life form that he would have never expected. And as much as he loves his wife Shalindra, he would have like, it doesn't feel like this. It's almost like this pull somewhere deep within him that he can't like explain, that he knows like that's his daughter and he will forever love her and protect her no matter what. Like it's a very intense feeling.
Yeah, and very much a relief to Garrett is that your daughter does take after her mother. So she's beautiful and perfect. This half drow with more elven features. And you name her? Justira. And then things are peaceful, and they're nice, and they're calm, and they're happy, and you're able to provide a life for your wife and your child, and the tavern doesn't cut it anymore. So the time comes for you to get some more space, some more privacy, as you guys begin the process of setting up your home in the surrounding wood. And you you forge out your own cottage, your own place, your own spot to belong.
Yeah.
And the years come. Blissfully. 24 of them.
The best years. The best years. Like, looking back, he just could not... Like, one thing he, like, constantly tells his wife is, like, how he could have ever gotten so lucky. And, I mean, to this day, to every day, he's always felt that way, looking back on his life. Like, to have a daughter and to have such a wonderful wife. And even though, like, by any other person's, like, measurement, like, it's a simple life, like, he has never been happier and could not have, like won any type of, like, lottery to get such a blessed life.
And just as you came of age and had to leave, as your daughter gets older, Justira, she starts to venture out. She's not leaving home forever, but she spends more time in Tangia, and she's always inventing an excuse to go into the big tangerine.
Yeah.
She's all, those kids, and she starts to discover men, and now the gravel comes. Now the years of it. You find her, and she tells you that she's been propositioned for marriage. It's a newly commissioned officer in the Alliance Navy, Lieutenant Baz Tall.
Okay.
Well-to-do half-elf man, and she makes him really happy, or he makes her really happy. Thinking of my life.
Same. Yeah, I mean, I think, Garrett, very protective of his daughter. And I think, like, by default, he's got that very, like, standard protective dad. Like, I don't know about all this, but it's like, just here, like, talking about him and how happy he makes her and, like, how nice he is to her. Like, that's why, like, what sells him on it. Even though, like, the idea of, like, giving his daughter away is, like, terrifying.
With your blessing in hand, the announcement is made that there's to be this marriage, which is happens in these smaller communities, just so that everybody knows and people can send their congratulations. But then something strange happens. You receive a letter. You receive a letter, and it is marked with the seal of Quigalore, which is your wife's family, and they've had no part of your daughter's life. They've completely cut your wife off and cut her from the family, but now they are offering up their beautiful island villa in the Shattered Heart to host and to have this wedding.
Which, like, Garrett and Shalindra are just, like, not for. They're not here for that when that invite comes in. And it's not until Justira, like, kind of, like, talks to them and it's like, look, that's my family too. And I deserve to be able to meet them, and they clearly want to meet me.
Yeah. And I think passions are high, and you've seen what this family has done to your wife, and you've seen you're so protective of your daughter that you're kind of staunchly against this, and she, in a moment of passion, even says to you, I've got a long life ahead of me, and when you're gone, they're going to be the only family I have left. I want to meet them.
And it's in that moment when she does that he just kind of, I think in that moment he just resigns. He doesn't agree right then. He just accepts the reality, the harshness, and then it's the next day that he that night he talks to his wife, unified front and all, and then they together want to support their daughter, even if it means going home for her, despite how awful that seems.
Yeah. Weeks pass as the preparations are made, and you book your family charter on a ship leaving from Tangia, bound for the Shattered Heart.
Yeah, so I think we go to Tangia proper, or as the younger kids start calling it, is the big Tang, they shorten everything.
It's the Tang, heading up to Tang this weekend.
Yep. Yeah, heading up to the Tang, and so I think they're walking through the bazaar and the markets, and Garrett, who has not been to the city in a few years at least, he's at a point where his life he would send runners or messengers or other people to go fetch it, and I think he just it's busy. It's a busy city, right? And he says to his daughter, I don't really see the appeal here, Justira. What did you like about this town again?
It's the city. There's everything you could want. There's so many people, ships coming in and out from everywhere with stories and treasures, and it's everything.
Doesn't it feel like a bit much? Though there's no peace, no quiet. It's busy. It just seems like a lot.
I can have peace when I'm your age, Dad.
Okay, that's... we'll just look past that. I'm not that old. And he kind of runs his hands through his hair. He's trying to tuck back, because right at this point he's mostly gray, but he's still got he's still got a little color. He's okay, hurtful, but I guess I get that. Live while you're young.
And then you hear a voice from above the crowd, a bolstering shout. Life with the Alliance is captivity!
And he kind of immediately, instinctively, mom, or I guess dad hands his daughter and his wife, and just kind of shields them and takes a step back from the noise, which I assume is forward from them. Even if it's in the distance, he would kind of know the direction. And he just kind of instinctively stops their movement until he can figure out what's going on.
There's a flash of light and a deafening boom as an explosion racks the bazaar. Things go dark. And when Garrett opens his eyes, there's smoke and debris. And he sees, still in his arms, the unmoving bodies of his wife and his daughter.
Shalanja, wake up. No, Justira, get up. We've got to go. Wake up.
I feel like you are trying to pull at them and get them on their feet, and they are unresponsive.
And he because they're kind of limp, he just kind of assumes they're like knocked out, and he like gets down and like he's not like a big medical boy, but he knows enough to like put his hand on her chest and like feel for a heartbeat, and he's like not getting that, and like he puts his like ear to her like mouth, and there's like no wind or breath coming out, and he just starts shaking her. Solandra, wake up. And like he frantically switches between Solandra and Justira. Honey, wake up. Wait, no. And then it's not until like the hysteria like really peaks that he can like then see like the wounds, the shrapnel of like the nearby like buildings and stands and stuff like has like pierced their bodies, and like there's blood everywhere, like, but he just was so focused on like their faces and whether they were breathing, he didn't necessarily see like the wounds that had been impacted. And I don't think it's something he would realize until years later, or maybe weeks later, more realistically, that like had it not been for him like pulling them in to protect them, like it would have been him who got hit with all that shrapnel, but instead like they ended up shielding him. And so like he's like trying to wake them up, and he's calling out, help, someone, help, and there's people running everywhere, and there's like, and he's shouting.
I think that there's a group of a small 2-3 soldiers are running by, and they kind of unfortunately like shoulder check you as they're running and kind of knock you to the ground. Take up arms or stand down. Stand down.
No, they need help.
And
someone.
They just keep moving.
And I think he just kind of like I think he calls out for a while until it's like, and he's yelling until his like voice is hoarse, and I think he just in the middle of all this nonsense, at least for a few moments, like kneels over the two of them, and it's not until like the fighting gets worse that he starts to like worry about his safety and like their safety, like their body's safety, and he drags them like into an alleyway or something to like preserve their bodies, and like for both of like he doesn't accept that they're dead, but like he knows they're dead, and like he takes their rings off their hands, which like he gave his wife a ring obviously when they got married, and then the day his daughter became like an adult, they gave her like an ivory ring, and it's like got a rosy pink stain, but like both of their wedding rings are ivory, and he just like takes those and puts them in his pocket, and I think he just like he hides out for the battle in that alleyway with his now deceased wife and daughter.
No help comes. There's conflict, there's strife, and eventually you have to move forward.
And he does. I think as like things are calming down, he stands up and he eventually tries to get some help, to at least like take their bodies home, which then like becomes his main objective, is like to take them home and bury them in their home of Hylas.
And you do. And I think that you're there for some time. until the memories and life just become too much, and so you leave.
Yeah, I think he spends time in their home alone, and when he finally makes that decision, he makes the decision based around his training when he was young, when he learned to be a wizard, and something he walked away from for a more exciting life to him, like a more social life than adventurous one. And in that moment, over his daughter and his wife's bodies, no one could help. And he never wanted to have someone else experience that. And so he decides to go and pursue his magical abilities and training and find a way to help people or heal people. And I think with his talents, like alchemy comes naturally.
Yeah. And I think that as you travel and ply your trade and you're gathering ingredients, you're learning about alchemy, you're practicing it, you're helping those who have no help when you can, and you kind of get a name in certain circles, and you're actually extended an invitation to join a small group of alchemists who are dedicated to discovery, dedicated to furthering their craft, the Mortar's Pestle, and they welcome you and initiate you, and basically they give you a small glass vial of which you have of a clear liquid that shifts from a clear liquid to a dark-hued one, as a symbol, as a sign, as a signal to gather because a discovery has been made, and they instruct you on how to use it. And obviously, if you come across a discovery, to be able to signal them and share this knowledge and this experience. Yeah,
agreed.
And as some time passes and you continue to ply your trade, maybe a year or so from when you become initiated, it happens for the first time. And so
I think it catches him off guard the first time. Like, it's a vial that he always keeps in vision, when he's unloading things. And I think the first time he unloads it and it's a different color, he looks at it and shakes it oh, it's broken. And then he realizes oh shit, no, this is the right vial. Fuck, there's something going on. Yep, it's time.
And you're called to this conference, and it's a young gnome alchemist who has been gaining a reputation for some unorthodox experiments. He has found a way to alchemically distill the blood of vampires to create his elixir of unlife, as he's taken to calling it. It can be used on a person who's died. It won't turn them into a full vampire. It puts them into a
staged state, right before you transform.
Not even that. It's like a half-life. It's like they are moving, they are breathing, they don't need to eat, but they can, and they don't truly show personality, but it is cutting edge in terms of alchemical resurrection. It's not true resurrection with a divine spell, but right. It is the first time somebody's been able to put something in a bottle that has moved somebody from no joke dead and gone to a state of some semblance of living.
Yeah. super impressive, super interesting to Garrett.
And it's actually interesting to somebody else as well. He kind of catches you being maybe a little bit more attentive than some of the other folks. Some folks are in uproar. Some folks, I mean, this is very controversial stuff.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
But there's a half orc in just ridiculous garb. It's made of like hemp and like small bits of hide that look like they come from different places, and like bones are interwoven through the fabric. And he sees you kind of eyeing this demonstration a little bit more intently, a little bit more hunger in your eyes, and he says, "Interesting stuff, huh?"
Yes. Very interesting indeed.
We're gonna have a gruff off.
Yes, we will.
I can be more gruff than you can.
But I am Dwayne, but gruff.
You're not disgusted like all the others?
No, it's alchemy. It's a little weird, but if other, albeit divine, magicians, clerics can resurrect people, why shouldn't we?
Some would say it's no longer alchemy, but necromancy.
I think they might be different. Necromancy is most considered dark. This seems different. This seems like a fair bit of neutral alchemy.
He kind of laughs and just goes, Neutral alchemy. My name's Hrall Skullsmith, necromancer. Pleasure to meet you.
He like shakes his hand because like Garrett's he's not against any schools of magic and he's not against any races, so he just like shakes his hand like just pretty normally and maybe like too excitedly to like talk to another alchemist like about this because he's super stoked. And he says, "Oh, the name's Garrett Tarmac. Nice to meet you."
Likewise. I could go for a drink. How about you?
Well, it looks like he's done speaking now, so yeah, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, maybe someplace quiet we can discuss this further.
Sure. I'm sure we can get some interesting drinks.
And so he kind of pulls you aside and he gives you like his spiel. He gives you like his philosophy as a necromancer, which is something you haven't been exposed to before. Particularly when you came up under the tutelage of more of a hedge wizard, and then worked with alchemy. So this is kind of new stuff for you. But he tells you about how in his culture and where he's from, it's not a taboo. And it wasn't until he came to kind of more civilized islands that he realized that people had like a stickler about this kind of thing. He goes, I never understood how something that can buy time for someone, something that can take someone who is just passed beyond death's door, give them time, could ever be wrong.
Well, sorry, that's not what I know necromancy to be. I was always taught, and from what I read, they are summoning the dead back from the other side and corrupting things. I never saw it as a stopgap.
And if somebody told you that alchemy was only good for healing potions or poisons, what would you say?
I would say they only know the tip of the glacier when it comes to the knowledge that goes into our craft.
I could say the same thing about necromancy.
And when he says that, it's like there's like a light that clicks on, because like he did like learn from a hedge wizard who like was very old school in his teaching. Like, so he like taught about all the different schools and what they're commonly referred to and how they're regarded. And like necromancy, of course, like all of that stuff was like validated when he went to like around other circles. And it's right then when he says, I think you might have a point.
Energy flows from our plane to the next. Flames that we conjure with our hands, they don't come from here, they come from the elemental planes. It's just energy passing through. Necromancy is the same way. Our bodies, our life, our soul, degradation, entropy, they're all energy just passing from one plane to another. No door is inherently good or evil. It's what you do on either side that matters.
I hadn't really thought of it that way. Admittedly, I'd always just seen necromancy as dark magic, and you use it to stave off death?
That's correct. I mean, folks could say evocation is a good school of magic, and then they'll use fire and ice and lightning to kill. Whereas I can use necromancy to take someone and hold them and bind them to this plane until they can be helped by divine forces or God's willing a miracle.
I hadn't really thought of it that way, but that it does seem a bit, and like he kind of like is a little more embarrassed at himself now. It does seem a bit ironic to regard evocation as, you know, one of the good schools and then melt people with a fireball.
Don't get me wrong, both are fun. But
take your word for it.
We could talk about abjuration. It's a school designed to protect. But every school has its limits. So when abjuration fails, well, sometimes it's time for necromancy.
I'm sure. And so he thinks about, in that moment, he like thinks about his wife and his daughter and like the life he had. And he thinks about who he was when he first met his wife and who he was as a young man, just like forgetting himself as a more respected person and an older man, and he kind of his youth, his brashness of youth takes over, and he kind of like is smiling and is excited about the idea of like being able to stave off death, to be able to counter death. Like that's his whole thing, whether that's alchemic or could you teach me what you mean by staving off death using necromancy?
No, I don't see why not.
Thank you.
Sure, you have the look about you of someone who spends a lot of time on the road. You have any plans?
No, I have just been, wandering and practicing my craft.
I've got a modest abode just outside of Tearsport. If you care to, you can stay with me, and I can show you a little bit of my neutral alchemical necromancy.
That is very generous of you. I would love that.
And you do. You are brought to a very humble abode, a shack within the wilderness just outside of Tearsport, where you study and you learn, and you not only learn, a few new tricks, you kind of get your mind opened up as far as necromancy and the different schools and how tools can be used.
Yeah, agreed.
And I think that after, a period of time passes, there's not much more for you to learn. And it's time for you to leave again.
And I think it's a bittersweet thing, right? Like, he's an older man, and it's not like he saw this guy as a father, but like he learned so much from him, and like his outlook towards magic and necromancy like changed while he spent his time with Rawl. So like leaving him was still like kind of hard. It's like leaving a good friend to move on to better yourself.
Right, and it's not like a forever parting either. Very much like,
right.
I'll see you next time the bottle goes black.
Yeah, but it is like he, to spend that much time with somebody and to learn that much, like you kind of bond with them, like on a level that's like hard to like part from, to go back to being alone and traveling on the road again.
Yeah. And I think that through your travels, you go all up and down Tangia, and as you're in the Big Tang, as the kids call it, it's actually like now the kids have shortened it so much. It's just we're heading up to tea.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's like
of course throws him off, and then it's like, ugh.
Yeah, because you're like, hey, who's going to the Tang? And they're like, nobody says Tang anymore.
Nobody says that anymore, old man. Okay.
You're passing through Tangia proper, and get wind of a job, an alchemy job, as you're stopping to get some more supplies. That there's a fellow who's looking for truth bomb serums, basically potions that'll make people tell the truth.
Which Garrett normally does via just heavy doses of alcohol, but he's very interested in this, and goes and applies.
And that's how you come to meet Ramel, who is the one offering this information. He's got like a pretty cozy information gathering network. He introduces you to Barrett, of course, or I'm sorry, Sky Song, as we are now referring to him as, because it's so confusing. Introduces you to Sky Song, and you guys kind of work together pretty well. You work taverns mostly. He's buttering folks up, and he's playing music, and he's kind of scoping things out. And once he's done that, and he identifies folks that might have crucial information, that's when you swoop in. And boy howdy, wouldn't you like to try one of my signature cocktails?
Of course, that's the plan. I always in that like respectfully talk up the bar or whatever. When I like no, hold on, let me go make you a drink. I know a thing, and I talk to the barkeep and have them make the best version they can make, and then like on the way back I spike the shit out of that drink with truth serum.
and that's the way that it goes for a while with you guys gathering information. You become kind of like a trust agent for Ramel, as he kind of is able to trust you with more and more as you show aptitude. And one day he does come to you and Sky Song, and he says, I've got a big job for you two.
I thought what we were doing was pretty grand and useful, but okay. All right.
Not saying that it isn't, but it's kind of just a larger scope. You see, I got some adventurers coming back from a fact-finding mission, and they're going to do a prisoner transport.
Oh. Well,
to Rambius.
Okay. And you want us to go? But that seems, if you need us to, I suppose.
Well, I need folks that I can trust. And at this point, I assume that so much of that truth-speaking potion is soaked into your fucking body that there's no way you could lie to me, so...
Yeah, that's how that works, boss.
Are you up for a trip to, the old homestead?
If that's what you need, boss, I'm sure Barrett and I would be happy to oblige.
Fair enough.
I can't speak for Barrett, and I don't need to. He'll speak for himself and some. So,
and you, and me, and your mother, and your sister, and your fourth cousin.
The 12 people in the tavern. Yeah,
the 12 people in the tavern. Folks that have been dead for years and years and years.
Yup.
Well, I'll let you know when they get here.
Sounds like a plan, boss.
And so goes the story of how Garrett found his way onto Fate's Compass.
Such a fabled life, only to end up on Fate's Compass. They say all good stories come to an end. Some not soon enough. But that's
I can fix that.
Oh,
I got you.
No. Listen, I put a lot of effort into this guy.
I got you.
I don't need to make another one. No, it's fine. It's fine.
Say no more.
Be careful with your words. They're dangerous. Words are dangerous.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. Shh.
Oh, good night. Roll saving throws.
You won't need those.
Oh no. Okay, that's fine.
When we're going, we don't need saving throws. Go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing a little bit about Garrett with us. I appreciate the insight. I like him more now than I did yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, he's not meant to be like a pronounced persona, I guess. Like where you have Barrett and Delmore, he's very more actiony, and then Perry's
a little bit more subtle.
Yeah, he's very much like the guy in the back. Ideally, he's older, wiser.
He goes down smooth, just like a signature cocktail.
It's just like a signature cocktail. That's right. So, well, thanks for doing this. These are always fun.
I love these, the one-on-one shots. Thanks for coming up with them in Campaign 1.
I agree. I think that was collaborative effort.
I can steal them.
Yes.
Okay. Well, anything else you want to say to the people before we go?
I hope I don't have to do this again. Because that means he dies. I don't want that.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to come up with some sort of booby prize, some sort of consolation treat for whoever has the most characters in Campaign 2.
Well, hold on. Don't tempt me with a good time, because I love alts. Hold on.
I don't know what it's gonna be, but a little something extra for the guy who's got to do fucking 5 of these or however many.
Well, all right.
Hopefully these are the last ones.
Agreed.
Hopefully these are the last times we have to do this, but. Things can happen when you're out there adventuring, and we can't always control it, and we got to play true to our characters. But there's one thing that we can never forget. And that's that death is never the end.
Yeah.
Especially with a little necromantic go-go juice in your bucket.
Death is just the beginning, dear.
Well, very good. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and get to know Garrett more as he interacts.
Bye.
Bye.